Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th Canto, Chapter 2. This is the discussion with the Navyogendras, and we are on text number 48. Grihitva api indriyartan yona dveshti na hrishyati Vishnumayam idam pashan savai bhagavato tama. So translation, even while engaging his senses in contact with their objects, one who sees this whole world as the energy of Lord Vishnu is neither repelled nor elated. He is indeed the greatest among devotees. So we have an extensive purport. Everyone dial in. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, the position of the Uttama Adhikari, or first-class devotee, is so worshipful that additional symptoms are now given in 8 verses. It should be understood that unless one comes in contact with the lotus feet of a pure devotee, the path of freedom from material illusion is very difficult to understand. In the 5th verse of the Sri Upadeshamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami has stated, Shushushaya bhajana vigyam ananya dindari shunya hid ipsita sangalabha. Quote, one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who's advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. End quote. Srila Prabhupada comments, in this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advises the devotee to be intelligent enough to distinguish between the Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. A neophyte Vaishnava, or a Vaishnava situated on the intermediate platform, can also accept disciples, but such disciples must be on the same platform, and it should be understood that they cannot advance very well towards the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. Therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttamadikari as a spiritual master. Therefore, additional symptoms will now be given so that the conditioned soul who desires to go back home, back to Godhead, can properly identify the bona fide spiritual master. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, where are we in the text? I think this is the next paragraph. Second paragraph. According to Srila Sridhar Swami and Srila Jiva Goswami, associating with a pure devotee of the Lord is so important that now the various categories of devotional service has been defined. 8 additional verses are given concerning the qualification of a pure devotee, so that students of the Srimad Bhagavatam make no mistake in this connection. Similarly, in the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks Krishna about the symptoms of a completely Krishna-conscious person. And Krishna elaborately explained the symptom of one who is pragya pratishtita, or established in Krishna consciousness. The particular qualification in this verse is mentioned in this verse is Vishnu Mayam Idam Pashan. One should see the entire material universe as a product of the illusory energy of the Lord. There's no question of lamenting or rejoicing for that which is the property of the Supreme Lord. Within the world, one generally laments upon losing something desirable and rejoices upon acquiring an object of his wish. But since a pure devotee has no personal desire whatsoever, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ateva Shanta, there is no question of gain or loss. Though, as the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, 1854, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Na Shochati Na Kankshati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. One who is transiently situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He's equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Similarly, Lord Shiva says to his wife Parvati, while glorifying the character of King Chitraketu, Narayana para sarve nakutaschana bibhyati swarga apavarga narkeshu apituryarta darshana. Devotees solely engaged in devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. This state of complete satisfaction, this state of complete satisfaction in the devotional service of Krishna is not a mental concoction achieved by artificial meditation, but is a result of having experienced the superior nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is a reservoir of transcendental bliss. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 259, Rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartante. When impersonalists and voidists artificially try to push material things out of their mind, they undergo great hardships and ordeals in their artificial meditation. Klesha dikarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hirgatir dukam dehavadbir avapyate. According to Krishna, it is only with great inconvenience and suffering that one can achieve personal liberation, because every living being is eternally a person, being part and parcel of the Supreme Person, Krishna. This concept of giving up one's personal identity is a reaction to the terrible frustration of material egotism. It's not a positive program. If one is suffering unbearable pain in his hand, he may agree to have his hand amputated. But the real solution is to remove the infection so that the healthy hand may become a source of pleasure. Similarly, ego, the sense that I am, is a source of unlimited happiness when we understand that we are, namely servants of Krishna. Impersonal meditation is dry and troublesome. A pure devotee realizes that he is an eternal person, part and parcel of the Supreme Person, Lord Krishna, and that he has the privilege, as the Son of God, to participate in his ecstatic eternal pastimes of the Supreme Lord, loving Krishna and playing with him forever. For such a devotee, the pale material nature, which is but a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, becomes totally unattractive. Therefore, one who is completely attached to Krishna and uninterested in the manifestations of Maya can be considered Bhagavatotama, a pure devotee of the Lord, as described in the previous verse. Bhakti paresha anubhava rakti anyatracha. Srila Madhavacharya has stated, Vishnumayam, Vishnu Ichadinam. The word Vishnumayam in this verse indicates that the illusory energy always remains dependent upon the will of the Lord. Similarly, Brahma Samhita says, Shishti Shishtiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Eka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vivarta Durga. Maya is like a shadow of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who serves him in the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this world. Just as a shadow has no independent power of movement, but follows the substance that it casts the shadow, the illusory energy of the Lord has no independent power, but it bewilders the living entities according to the Lord's desire. One of Krishna's opulence is that he is supremely detached. When a living entity wants to forget him, Krishna immediately employs his illusory energy to facilitate the foolishness of the conditioned soul. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the words grihitva api indriya arthan indicate that the pure devotee of the Lord does not cease acting within this world. Rather, he uses his senses in the service of the Lord of the senses, Rishikesha. Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhaktiruchate. Rupa Goswami has stated that if one gives up those material things which are favorable for serving to Krishna, considering them material and therefore an impediment of his spiritual advancement, his renunciation is merely palgu vairagya, or an immature, imperfect renunciation. On the other hand, one who accepts all material things for the service of Krishna without any personal desire for sense gratification is actually renounced. Yukta vairagyam uchate. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has warned in his commentary on this verse by envying any of the three classes of the devotees, Uttama Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, or Kanishta Adhikari. One falls down to the platform of impersonalism and loses the power to benefit others or even himself. Therefore, those who are trying to advance in Krishna consciousness should not endanger their transcendental experience by unnecessarily criticizing other Vaishnavas. According to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, if one engages in Palgu Vairagya, or by renouncing material things that are favorable to the service of Lord Krishna, one runs the risk of being polluted by impersonal philosophy. On the other hand, by sticking to the principle of Yukta Vairagya, engaging everything for the service of Krishna without personal desire, one can remain aloof from the danger of material sense gratification and gradually come to the Mahabhagavata platform, as mentioned in this verse. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manavishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutare Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadandikam Katanchana Smite Yasmin Dushkaram Sukaram Bhavet Vismite Viparitam Shat Shri Chaitanya Namamitam. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. So, say someone comes and they're saying, you guys are speaking all this about bhakti, but if you really want spiritualization, the answer is psychedelic mushrooms. That's all you need. So how would you refute that argument? Henry, what would you say?
No. I would just say no. I don't think I can refute the argument.
just a strong affirm. No. Bhima Prabhu. Just need to go look for those mushrooms in the field.
Is Bhima there?
He was for a second.
Oh, maybe while we're waiting for him.
Oh yes, please.
What was? I'm
Go for
sorry,
it.
I missed the whole thing. My headphones were out of my head.
We're talking about psychedelic mushrooms.
Oh, I love them. I mean, I love them. Past tense.
So someone says, you guys speak about bhakti, but actually you just need psychedelic mushrooms. This will bring you the highest spiritual experience. How would you argue against that claim? What are some?
Psychedelic mushrooms?
Yeah.
Me?
Well,
Why would
why not
anybody
just
ask me?
anybody? Stephanie's got her
What
hand
I
up,
would
please.
say?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yes,
so
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
basically like you're going to on top. I was listening to Wisdom of the Sages, so I kind of you're going to the top of the mountain with a helicopter instead of actually climbing it and working yourself up to the realization. Because then
Okay.
you're not learning anything. Then you're going to
But he's
drop
saying,
off
but
again.
But
you can get
also,
the realization from the psychedelic mushrooms. What would your argument be?
My
Because you're not
argument,
actually building up that muscle to keep it.
yeah, but if you get it there on a helicopter, people would say, I'm taking a helicopter because it's an easy way. I don't have to suffer. I don't have to take the risk. I remember somebody, I can't remember, some wise soul told me, you cannot storm the kingdom of God. So you can't storm heaven. You can't storm realization. It's like getting into a ring to fight and not having fought and not having trained. The fight is won outside the ring. You just go to the ring to collect your victory or your experience of what you need to do to become victorious. So, it's that old adage that's so popular in India. You are entitled to the work, but not the results. If you take drugs, you're going after results. It's basically you're storming the kingdom of heaven. And trust me, like Krishna brought down Indra or even Brahma, he will bring you down. And that's why it's not that trying to make heaven is wrong, but you ain't. It's not. It's a straight and narrow path. It's a straight and narrow path. And if you deviate, then you will fall away. That's
Okay, so
that's my understanding.
you bhakti guys are saying it's all, you know, you can't storm, but um but I'm saying I have the key. I have the key. I'm not storming. I'm just using the key. I'm going right in. This is the key that God gave. God gave these mushrooms. And this is my uh so this is the key to spiritual realization.
Krishna says this. I feel that the best way for someone who's adamant about this, because they're going to remain adamant because they need a justification, and that is, Krishna says, "I am the healing herb," and in the Bible as well, I have given you these healing herbs, meaning that all these plants have their uses, and to be honest with you, they are just finding out beyond a shadow of a doubt in double blind empirical studies and science that micro dosing of psychedelics, micro dosing, that means you're not getting intoxicated. You're just, easing up, just like, taking an aspirin for a headache or something like that. Micro dosing opens you up to just opens you up. You get stuck. You got
Okay, so now we got
yeah.
Bhima on the he's on now you got to go against Bhima and the mushroom guy.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Okay.
but Prabhu, you bring Krishna into it, and you say, yeah, this is a person who's adamant. You're not going to win an argument. People, those who are convinced against their will are of the same
Yeah.
opinion still. You're
So
not going to change their
we're
opinion, so
not
you bring
necessarily.
Krishna. Yeah.
So once I was in Kalachandji's restaurant, and we performed these tours for Dallas Theological Seminary, different religious colleges, and most of them they all behaved very nicely. But I had this in this one group. I had one guy who just wanted to argue and debate, and in my mind, I was thinking, what's the point of arguing with this man? He's in the Dallas Theological Seminary studying to become a Christian minister. This is preaching to the faithless. Why should I even entertain his arguments? And then as I was thinking that, one of the other restaurant customers stood up and said, I just want to say that I like what he says, that God doesn't care what religion you are. He just wants to see that you love him. And then I was like, oh, it's not for him, it's for others. So we're looking for a good argument um, against the claim. So Anupam Prabhu, let's see. And there is a good argument. There's different, there are all kinds of different arguments. One of them is actually from this chapter, and it's mentioned in the purport. And so I'll just mention there is this verse, Bhakti Pareshu Bhakti Pareshu Anubhava Rakti Anyacha Chaisha Trika Eka Kala Yata Atashnush Tushti Pushti Shutpaya Anugasham. So I might have my claim, he might have his claim. Um, that, oh, if you practice bhakti, this is going to happen, and this is the result. And he has, if you take these mushrooms, you take these mushrooms, and this is the result. You achieve spiritualization. But the test to the claim is the virakti, the actual detachment from material engagements, the actual detachment from material pleasure. So if someone is saying, "Oh, I own a 5-star restaurant. I'm the owner of Divya's. I #1 vegetarian restaurant of New York City." This person's but they're walking around going through the dumpsters of New York City. You're like, wait a minute. If this person's really the owner, then they're not showing the symptoms. There's certain symptoms that are there of spiritualization, and one of them is that virakti, that one becomes detached from the lower pleasures because they're experiencing a higher pleasure. So there's a raso varjam rasopyasya. That what is it? Not raso varjam. There's a paramdishya raso varjam sopyasya paramdishya nivartante. That we may have our claims, they may have their claims, but the real proof is that there are great acharyas, Mahabhagavatas, who have lived in such a way that we see this person has actually become completely detached from material enjoyment. And they're situated in actually experiencing deep internal pleasure where they actually have no, it's gone beyond aversion. It's like we have aversion or even caution. You just like think of how we shoot a satellite out into outer space. After a certain point, well, there's still the gravity, but if you shoot something far enough, the gravity won't even pull it down in any way. So similarly, when the devotee becomes very transcendental, he moves beyond attachment, he moves beyond caution, aversion, or even just caution. He actually becomes indifferent. Who is here excited about the India, what is it? India London cricket game? Anybody here excited about the India London cricket game? Anyone not excited? Raise your hand. Okay. So there's not even a sense of attachment. There's no attachment there. There's no nartam. Are you excited about? Maybe if you have some connection, there's an emotional attachment.
It's good for bridge preaching, like, sometimes you get, if people want to trauma bond or like, just like, oh, for the sake of, diplomacy or sportsmanship, whatever it is, like it's congregation, and then, both countries have long histories being together. It's good for bridge preaching. If we go to on Harinam at the cricket game, it'll be really nice. So,
So Karen says, I don't even know what that is. So that this is, one person has a connection to it, and they can use that connection in the service of Krishna. That's without a doubt, you can do that. But there might be another person who has no connection. So similarly, we have attachments in this world, and at some point we're fully engrossed in the attachment. Then we may develop the intelligence. This is not good for me. And we might okay, this going to the bar, this is not good for me. And so we have a caution, or maybe even aversion. We might have, if someone is very attached to the opposite sex, then they become very averse. They might, I hate women, or I hate men. They might have this aversion because of the strong attachment is there. And so because of the attachment's very strong in their heart, and their spiritual life may be It's like when you have those little plants on the street and they have a big fence around it. And it's like they need the big fence because the thing can't survive without the big fence. It's very tiny, and so they have this strong aversion. And then at some point, it may turn into just caution. But at another point, it just may be actually indifference as it grows and grows to the point of complete indifference. Um, that we see everything as it's mentioned in the verse. Even while engaging his senses in contact with their objects, one who sees this whole world as the energy of the Lord Vishnu is neither repelled nor elated. Indeed, is indeed the greatest among devotees. So, if someone has the tendency to be very greedy, not just greedy, maybe even giving into kind of, uh, I will cheat. I will, because of the greed, they may give into different ideas of like, if I see somebody's thing unlocked, I'm going to take that money. If I see this, I'm going to do that. If I have any opportunity to get ahead financially, whether it's criminal or not, I will go ahead. And so that person finds a wallet. What would they do with it? Take the money, sell the ID, do all different criminal things. And then maybe later on, he realizes, I've been to jail 10 times. I don't want to do this anymore. And then he comes across, again, he finds a wallet, or he sees something unlocked, or he sees something lost. And because of his previous bad experiences, he doesn't take the wallet. He just leaves it there. He's averse to it. He's cautious. I don't want to be around that thing. I don't want to fall into, I don't want to fall into that trap again. And he just leaves it there. But the one who is really indifferent, he just picks up the wallet and gives it back to who it belongs to. He doesn't have an attachment. Oh, it's going to be for me, and he's not struggling with this sense of attention that makes him averse or cautious. He just realized, oh, it's not mine. Let me give it back to who it belongs to. And therefore, I think in the same chapter also, or maybe same chapter, you have this bhayam dvitiya abhinesha tasyat. This sense of dvitiya, duality, is a indicator of illusion. So how does duality mean illusion? Is when we see the energy of the Lord separate from the Lord. Even while engaging his senses in contact with the objects, one who sees the whole world as the energy. And we disconnect that connection. We forget the owner. Well, we remember the owner. It was like, oh, just give it back. We recognize this wallet is the owner's energy. Then you can give up the sense of attachment or aversion. But when we just think of it's either mine to exploit or neglect, then there is a sense of either caution, aversion, or maybe even a greedy attachment. So just like someone may have a company car, they may understand, okay, I have to use this company car for the duties that were given to me. I don't take it and try to do donuts in the street or leave potato chip crumbs all over the place, or I don't, so I don't try to exploit it for my own enjoyment, nor do I just leave it behind because it's not mine. I realize this is somebody else's and I use it in its service. So one strong argument against this, someone comes up and says, well, I don't see that you're happy at every moment. Where you're saying chant this mantra, and I'm saying take this mushroom. But where is the example of someone taking psychedelic mushrooms and actually losing taste for enjoying matter? Maybe have a different perception of life, but the actual loss of taste is not there. And that taste can only be achieved by experiencing something superior. And you even find this not with just psychedelic mushrooms, which is, just some ordinary thing of this world. You even find this in the path of Ashtanga yoga, deep meditation. You even find this in the path of Jnana yoga. So many different great spiritualists, when they came to the point of struggle with a challenge, like you have the Chavana Muni, he was not Chavana Muni, who was the one? Shobari Muni. He was meditating underwater, and he saw two fish mating, which is probably the least enticing thing you can think of. But somehow there's it caused him to, I need to get a wife, and he was meditating underwater for hundreds of years, and he was like, I need to have that sense enjoyment. But you have the example of Haridas Thakur. It wasn't some fish; it was the Maya personified. We have so many examples of the devotees able to overcome the great trials and tribulations because of that experience of the higher taste. And so in the verse they quoted, Klesha dikaraste sham, the path without devotion, it's full of misery, because the whole material world is personified by the form of Durga, and she has hundreds of arms, and we're declaring, I will not be your servant. I will go against the current of this world. I will not be pushed or pulled. And this Durga means very difficult to go, difficult to, she's obstructing our freedom. And so one may say, I will get free from this world. I'll achieve apavarga. I'll achieve freedom from the problems that we find in this world. What are those problems? You have this acronym. It's very interesting. There's even acronyms in Sanskrit. So Varga means a line, like Guru Varga. And there's the different parts of the alphabet. You have the parts that come from the velum or the guttural, ka, ga, 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 nya. Then there's a palatal, there's a dental, there's the late, and the last line of consonants is pa, ba, pa, pa, ba, ba, ma. So that's the pa line of the alphabet. And that line of the alphabet is actually an acronym. And that acronym is the problems of material existence. Pa stands for hard work, parishrama. Just as you hear in this verse, shrama evahi kevalam, just hard work, wasted labor, waste of time. And then ph stands for foam at the mouth. Not just hard work. You're working so hard, you just foam at the mouth. And then comes ba. Ba stands for bondage, bandha, vyasati, being bound in this world. And then bh, stands for fear. So you work hard so hard that you foam at the mouth, you're just still bound, you're full of fear, and then the final reward is mrityu, death. And so the Sanskrit acronym apavarga means freedom from this whole material experience. But as Krishna is saying in chapter 12, that it is possible. There is a slight possibility that one can achieve that, but it is through all kinds of that path is littered with miseries. Or as he says, bhakti padeshana bhava bhaktir, but bhakti, you taste it from the beginning. Just like what happens when you put food in your mouth, this verse from this chapter, there are three things that happen to you when you put food in your mouth. You get the pleasure of taste, you get nourishment that gives you energy, and your viraktir, your hunger goes away. So similarly, the path of bhakti, you get a pleasure of taste. That's the pleasure of relationship. That's the comparison. You get what is called nourishment is compared to pareshu anubhav. You begin to experience awareness of Krishna, and that enlivens you. Just like nourishment gives you energy, that enlivens you. And then the last thing, that's the real test. That's where it can be proven to yourself, and we can see it in the life of the great devotees. We can see it in others. Is the virakti, a sense of actual detachment. So that's what I would say is one good argument against that the soul actually becomes satisfied when it engages in loving devotional service, and we don't generally find that unless someone is engaged in loving devotional service in some tradition. Without that, there is always great struggle, and one is slipping and falling. And so, as he said earlier in the chapter, Yan Ashtaya Narorajan, this having faith in this path is very wonderful. Na prametyeta karhichit, because Krishna will protect us from having having very strong pride. He will actually protect us. He will teach us. He will guide us. Dhavan nirmili vanate. We can even run towards Krishna. We can even make mistakes, and still we will not slip, we will not fall. We will still be heading in the right direction. Whereas in Ashtanga Yoga, you make a mistake, start over again. It's all a waste. You just wasted 60,000 years in meditation, my dear Vishwamitra Muni. And you try again, wasted another 60,000 years of meditation. Or you can be one of the persons performing karma kanda. You make a mistake. Not only you start over again, you get some bad reaction. You start from -8, -10, -1,000. But here you run towards Krishna, and he is there guiding you. So these verses are speaking about Uttamadhikari. It's important to hear. It's someone who is a not a beginner or intermediate in a musical talent. We don't really have the ability to identify a musical genius. We don't. It's like someone who's really good versus the world's genius of. It's like we can't really tell the difference. And so therefore these verses are sharing again and again, because if we're on the Kanishta, we're on the Madhyama, we don't know who's the Uttama. We can't really figure it out. We can figure out some of the basics, like in Ishapan nectar instruction, where it says, okay, this person's senses are controlled. Okay, we can see how they're external, but we don't know. It's hard to tell who's the Uttamadhikari. It's like, how do you know unless you are actually there? So there are many verses to help us see what are the character, how does he see, how does he behave in this world, how does he interact, how does he treat material nature. And that way we want to get the benefit of, we want to ardently seek such persons and get the benefit of their association. So I'll stop here and ask for everybody to share their reflections. Hare Krishna. Henry Peru.
Well, I like what you said earlier on, when we practice this, what Prabhupada has given us is a process that we can practice, which we actually do become detached from the lower material pleasure or material enjoyment. And then we can actually get deep internal enjoyment, actually a feeling inside here. And your analogy about a satellite blasting off into space and eventually going outside of the gravitational field. That's what we want to do with our consciousness, is we want to go out of the gravitational field of material sense enjoyment, and then we can just actually focus on Krishna and have deep internal enjoyment.
Those verses from the Chaitanya Bhagavat. If you see Lord Nityananda hanging out at the bar, you know, understand that he's that he has. So he's leaving the example of Bhagavad Uttama. He can go anywhere and share Krishna consciousness and not be affected. For somebody who struggled with alcoholism, going and hanging in the bar and talking to people about Krishna is probably the worst idea. But the Bhagavattama, he is, you know, past the gravitational pull. Like we see the devotees, we would go to the rainbow gathering. Rainbow gathering is about 50,000 people. National rainbow gathering would happen every year, and about 50,000 people camping out in the forest. And we would go, a group of 30 of us, like 25 brahmacharis, 5 brahmacharinis, and a Prabhupada disciple. We would all go, and there's tons of uh, nude people there. There's and but because we had our massive body of devotees, basically we would have kirtan from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. Or 8 p.m. Yeah, 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. For about 2 or 3 weeks straight in a yurt with a bonfire in the middle of the tent. And I know some friends, they decide, oh, let me go and do preaching. The two of us we'll get a school bus, and they all just came back to becoming like hippies, and the preaching went the other way around. But when we have that strong association, or the devotees, they actually become, they can go, like Prabhupada could go to a place like that. And he said that's the difference between you. I could be in a room of naked ladies, and I would not be agitated. That's the difference. So thank you for sharing, Henry. Anupam, any reflections? We have, I think, a minute before the conch blow.
I liked how you were saying, I like the metaphor of the gravitational pull.
That's from
And
Chaitanya Charan.
Chaitanya Chandra, nice. And yeah, it's there's so many things you could draw from that it's eternally present. It's keeping us bound to our lower nature. It's a natural force in the world, and but with the right strategy and the right people, if we follow the right people, the billionaires of the spiritual realm, then we can be extricated from it by their influence and by the work that they've done on our behalf.
Mm-hmm. It's a little bit difficult to talk about an Uttamadhikari when we're not Uttamadhikaris. Narottam Nitai Prabhu?
Yeah, so a lot of times things that I say like as like mixed bhakti, like like bridge preaching, like Harinam at the football game or at the thing. Um, so one thing I will say in terms of understanding who's Nityamadhikari, Uttamadhikari, sorry. I would say, yeah, those are like exclusively devoted to Krishna, like in the sense like people like me, like it's like I work and I try to give the results to Krishna a little bit, as much as I can, but I don't want to ruffle feathers, but it seems like I might say something that I might like, or people that might not like, etc. It's like, so I'm like one of those like hardworking, well, so was hardworking,
I think
and
the conch is just about to blow.
okay, yeah. So I would say like for example, I am the Prabhu who heard the kirtan and like ran towards the devotees and just never like stopped doing kirtan. That's like Uttamadhikari for me. That's what I say. Yeah.
And even the Madhyama is fully dedicated. Madhyama is very elevated. One explanation is that the Kanishta, very elevated Kanishta, are the 4 Kumars. Think about that. Jai Shri Shri Radha Mali Ki.
The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, open thoughts, the ocean of suffering, attain the mercy of Krishna. He's my Lord, earth after earth. I'm very excited to take out this divided in this blood. Very sure to sing of the the masters which only the mercy, and the Lord, the Lord and Master of the Lords. O Master, please be merciful on us. Which is the name of us. Name is parallel with your brothers.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Manohar Prabhu, Maya Devi, Nandini Radhika. We're going to move on. Okay, Hare Krishna, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu, wonderful class. Thank you so much for all those analogies and questions, for the audience, for keeping us engaged and awake. Narottam Nitai Prabhu, great reflection. Doing the work, offering the results to Krishna. That's bona fide, legit. Jai. Nityananda Chandra Prabhu, back to you. Do you have any finishing lines? Anything? No? No? Thank you very much. Dear devotees, you have questions? Corrections for Nityananda Chandra Prabhu? He lives to be corrected, by the way. So if you have a correction, no. Jeffrey Eckler, you look like you have a correction for Nityananda Chandra Prabhu.
I agree.
I see.
No, it's interesting. I joined a little bit late and I apologize, but you were speaking about this concept of, arguing that the use of psychedelic mushrooms was a materialist pursuit, and the I guess the counterpoint to that from the user of those psychedelic mushrooms perspective would be almost like a panentheism, um, where the belief is that God is within that substance. Catholics have a concept of this. It's not panentheism, but it's transubstantiation, whereby a physical material through spiritual, practice can be imbued with the actual light of God. And in so being has dual nature. It both exists spiritually and materially 100% at the same time, and that's it's it's an interesting argument. I find it almost impossible to wrap my head around, but it's it is interesting to think that
And
someone could
who's
believe that.
who's giving up um pornography because they took a mushroom, or
I
they're
don't
giving
know.
up,
I think it's
or
possible, but I mean,
giving up
God makes
cheating
anything
on their
possible,
spouse,
right?
or they find that
If we argue in
there might be.
extremes, then you're
Yeah.
going to the extremists. And the majority of us are in the middle, and that is we understand what medicine is. Krishna has given us medicine. If you take it in your purpose of taking it is to entertain yourself and to enjoy altered states of consciousness, well, you will get that, and you will also mess with bhutas and all sorts of dark forces because you're opening your mind up to just everything, and with no checks and balances and no discipline. And it's just common sense. You can't storm the kingdom of heaven. You can't rip ecstasy from Krishna's hands. You have to earn it. And you don't earn it, but you have to show yourself sincere and humble enough to be blessed with it. And that's it. It's just common sense. You can't steal. And but you know, a lot of people who have severe depression, severe, helped by nothing else, a little bit under under the auspices of a medical expert, um, they do climb out because they start to understand there's a whole new world of a whole new way to think. They get out of the bubble, the dome that they're trapped in, the bell jar of their depression, and they step outside the glass for a moment and they say, oh, it's possible to think in another way. That's all it's needed for. Just like you don't keep giving morphine to someone whose pain is over with. But morphine is a drug. Heroin, the worst painkiller in the world, the worst drug in the world, raging through the streets. I forget the name of it. Is
Fentanyl.
Yeah, fentanyl is actually useful in certain cases.
My
But
father was
because
an anesthesia administrator for years, and they used fentanyl in surgery.
right, right, for the big time stuff. And the trouble is, it's out of control. So you're not going to argue somebody. They're at a certain stage of development. So you try to bring Krishna into it. I know plenty of people who used to experiment, who are now devotees. because not because of it, but it was during a time when they allowed themselves to think of other forms of consciousness, especially happier forms of consciousness. So
I really like what you said there, Bhima Prabhu. This is a very interesting concept. There's a lot of publicism of this. Open your mind. Open your mind to what? And how open? It can't be this indiscriminate opening of the mind, because
that's why I said under the
you're
supervision
absolutely
of a
right. What are you
professional.
opening it up to? It's very, very, very astute. Thank you.
So open your mind up to Srila Sukadeva Goswami. That's yeah.
Sadhvididi.
Hare Krishna, and thank you very much for today's class. I'm much older than most of you here, and in my experience, what I have gone through with my health and so on, and I have children that they're doctor working in the operation room, and so on and so on. I have yet not find any psychedelic, whatever you call it, morphine, painkiller, nothing. There is no medicine, no painkiller that it doesn't have side effects. Never. It helps with one thing, but it will destroy other things in the body, in the mind, and so on. I have never find anything or learn about any medicine or any drugs that it doesn't have side effects. For instance, the drug you say it will help if you take a very, very portion of it. You know, this person may have this side effect that it doesn't help for the next time. Then you have to take more. Then you have to take more. The side effect is maybe the first time somewhat help, but not the second time, not the third time, if you don't take more than that. So I'm sorry to say that. I go through so many pain in my body. I have all what you can think of, and a damage operation damaged my back and so on, and I have pain. And you know what? I feel that I am much better without it. Even though that I have pain, without that I feel much better, because there is nothing that destroyed other thing in my body. I have only the pain, I have only the damaged place, but it doesn't destroy other thing, other organ in the body. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry to say that side effect of the medicine is more dangerous if you take it and believe that it helps. I'm sorry to say that it doesn't help. Thank you.
Thank you. I was looking for, I did an article for Krishna.com called Chantix versus Chanting. And Chantix is a medication that is supposed to help people get off of smoking cigarettes, but it has 98 suicide links, the 98 suicides that were linked to the medication, and a few murder-suicides. And so the article was kind of talking about the different side effects of Chantix versus the side effects of chanting. All the side effects of chanting.
Name that thing, Chantix.
Oh, Jeffrey took Chantix, and there are people reporting like, "Oh, I hear voices."
He's still here.
The one side effect of Chantix is lucid dreaming. And I took Chantix, this is probably 15 years ago now, to quit smoking. And if you lucid dream every night, the entire night, it's almost as though you never sleep. And so then Chantix makes you aggravated because you feel like you've not slept. And I was on it for about 6 months, and I was actually told by my boss at the time that if I didn't stop taking it, I was going to lose my job.
he's probably buying you back some cigarettes. Just like, Naratoni time.
Yeah, no, I tried Chantix for a slight period of time, and it made me really Really, really nauseous. I mean, I don't even want to describe the feeling, but yeah, definitely. It was like a week or two that I took it. It's no, 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 and I know this feeling because I had a girlfriend in high school, and she was I don't even know how to say it. Just used to smoke weed. So like it just so I'm familiar with the feeling, and I don't want to go back there again. You know what I mean? So that's in the sense the after effects. It's not the and that's the thing about what I realized about intoxication is that yeah, initially it feels great, but then later it feels so dragging that you lose your sense of a person loses their sense of discernment and then could engage in other other activities which are not aligned with Krishna consciousness. So that's
Krishna Kumari.
Yeah, I mean, this is really a powerful conversation and super important. And I think it can be tied back into the verse that you want to look at who's making these products and are they doing it for your interest or their interest? So we know that, what you're saying, like Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, that's why we're Rupa Nugas. That's why we're Prabhupada Nugas. They're so pure that they want for us what they have. It's just so beautiful. And I also wanted to say something to Jeffrey from a couple of weeks ago. I hope it's okay. It was a conversation and I really felt for you. You were saying like the widows in Vrindavan that like we all choose where we are and some people work and they have money. And I just wanted to comment that actually even if you get an inheritance from, you say, your grandfather, that money's still coming from Krishna. Even if you're working hard or, that money's coming from Krishna. And the widows of Vrindavan, even if we think we're giving a donation, that money's coming from Krishna. I see with children, my daughter's doing a little homeschool and, the one kid's house it's at maybe doesn't want to share their toys, but my kids understood that like everything's Krishna's, and they would give anything to anyone. And I think it's like really powerful, like, to think that something we created or we're possessive of. So I wanted to share that. And then I would love to I had something yesterday that was really much, but I'll wait for Madan Gopal to come back. But yesterday, Gaura Chandra, I don't know if you guys all noticed, but he was wearing a crown, a silver crown. He hardly ever wears his crown. So I don't know what the significance was, but he did look like Chandra, like the moonlight, king. And today he's got lots of beautiful long necklaces. And he has, if you guys notice, Radharani sometimes has these small garlands over her head that go to either side of her. But today, Gaura Chandra has a little tassel made of flowers. And Muralidhar does as well. And his flute today is it's like twisted. It's almost like if you were to see a candy cane, it's like twisted like that. It's got this little swirl going around it and a very long, long tassel. And his garland, it's swinging towards Gaura Chandra, but differently than it's ever swung before. It's very up high, and he's very much in ecstasy, dancing and playing his flute. And Radharani also has very delicate, simple flowers over her head and a very, very delicate, maybe pearls around her neck. I can't tell from my picture, but she has a very sweet, simple white necklace with a little charm on it. I'm wondering if Krishna strung those pearls for her from his pearl garden that he grew. And that's all I wanted to say. I love you guys all very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Krishna Kumari, for that little trip. darshan trip without side effects. Okay, thank you very much, Sadhvi Didi. That was powerful. Thank you, Jeffrey Prabhu, our Chantix user. From Chantix to chanting. Yeah, that's Jeffrey Eckler's journey. Okay, would anyone like to chant Hare Krishna? Karen, would Isaiah and Annabelle like to chant? A little Chantix? Unmute.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Thank you, Annabelle, Isaiah, and Sage. Our little Chantix. Okay, we love you, we need
Thank you
you,
very
come
much for
again
today.
tomorrow.
Hare Krishna.
The key to spiritual world is not mushrooms. The key is devotional service. Right? That's my takeaway. And there's no shortcuts. I mean, other than devotional service. Okay, Hare Krishna.